from Reach Suite. I am Colin Smith. Welcome to the Cold Ones podcast. It's the podcast with chilly questions and even colder ice cream. Today we are joined by Katie Nocerino. You know her from her active thought leadership character leading the strategic sales team over at 6 Sense, as well as being an LP at the one and only Stage 2 Catalyst. And of course, a long-term member here at Pavilion. Katie started her career in insurance sales and then climbed the ladder through Oracle and then now at 6 Sense. Welcome to the show, Katie.
Hello. How are you?
Good
Thank
to
you.
see you. So,
Colin, I'm wondering when I open my ice cream.
Open it now. Which one are you doing first?
I have to thank you for providing me with some somewhat healthy yogurt bars to kick off my morning here.
I brought a not healthy ice cream.
There you go. I'm going with both. So
Okay.
thank you for sending me both. A healthy
Absolutely.
option as well as a guilty pleasure. So I will indulge as we chat.
So I think it's gonna be fun in this podcast to share why we picked the two ice creams. So the first one I think we have is Simple Truth. Is that this one? Okay, so we have the Simple Truth raspberry cheesecake, and Katie, I've known you for about 8 months now, and you keep it real. You keep it truthful. You always shoot me straight. You don't let me BS. And so the Simple Truth is for you. And then the second one is the Talenti caramel cookie crunch, where we have that. Ooh.
I already ate a lot of it. It's in my kids' like purple bowl here too, which I thought, I don't know, I felt a little less guilty as if I was making it for my kids, but then I'm having it for myself.
I love it. I love it. And we got that one because of the crunch at the end. I've had some fun conversations with you, and while you keep it real, I've heard a couple curse words before. So you have the crunch, you have the fun, and you keep it real. So that's why we have those two ice creams for you. So Katie, we're gonna start things off with some rapid fire. Okay, what kind of car are you whipping?
I have a Mercedes GLK 350, I think. It's like what I thought was going to be like a good mom mobile, a little SUV. Turns out it's not. It's like
Sporty.
Way more compact than what we need for a couple of kids thrown in there. So, but it's great. I like it.
Oh, I've seen those bopping around town.
Yeah.
Stylish. All right. I feel like I know the answer because I know where you live, but beach or mountains?
Well, I live in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Previously, I lived in Sydney, Australia. Previous to that, I lived in LA. I grew up in Long Beach.
Beach.
I'm a mountains person. I'm just kidding.
And so
no, I'm a beach person for like consistent day over day, like where I want to live. I'm a beach person. Where I want a vacation, usually still a beach person, but I do absolutely love mountains. Grew up as a skier, snowboarder, love doing all of that, but more so like as a visit, a vacay.
I think your Long Beach growing up there and now living there begs the question, do you have any Snoop Dogg experiences?
I mean, I wish I don't. Not like it's so funny. Where I went to college, everyone would say like, "Oh my God, you're from Long Beach. Do you know Snoop Dogg?" Like as if it's a small place, and of course I know Snoop Dogg. I have not had any Snoop Dogg run-ins, which is super depressing. But when I was another like Long Beach local big band is Sublime. Not as big now, but yeah. When I was in high school, I worked at a coffee shop as a server. Oh, this is tripping on me because I have a true Californian. I have like a big space heater blowing heat at me because it's like 60 degrees out, which is way too cold for me.
Brutal.
Yeah. But I served Bradley Knowles's grandpa pretty regularly. Or no, his dad.
Cool.
He was like the main singer of Sublime, passed away.
Yeah. Oh, so Sublime's legendary.
Yeah.
They count.
I think of other like Long Beach. No Doubt grew up here. Soft.
I feel like the LB logo, you see it on hats sometimes. Like it's pretty famous. The final rapid fire, and then we'll jump into some professional. If we ask your family, what is Katie's biggest quirk? What would they say?
I'm like a pretty weird person, just in general. Like just growing up, it was just all about like the weirdest faces, voices, impressions, all of that. And so I've got some like standard ones from there. I would say though, biggest quirk that comes to mind is this also is my humble brag. They'd probably tell you that I had very random hobbies growing up. And so I got my black belt in karate when I was in like seventh grade. I mean, like strip mall black belt. It's not like I'm no Chuck Norris or Jean-Claude Van
Are you
Damme,
sure
but
you're not checking the
I
word?
mean, the crunchy cookie in me, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
My ice cream selections. Um, I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme was like my absolute hero growing up, which is he and Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is like so random. So that was a big one for me. And then I also was like a very serious flautist, which is funny because when I was in, yeah, the flute, when I was in insurance and I worked, we'll get to this, I'm sure, but I worked with a lot of like older men. I heard a lot of skin flute jokes that I didn't understand at the time.
Ah,
Yeah,
that was,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
So
pre-COVID cancel
yeah,
culture.
pre everything
Yeah, yeah. All right,
PC.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So switching over to the second ice cream from the simple truth to, and now we know why Katie has the crunch ice cream. Um, got it ready? We handy? My dropped,
Yes.
I dropped some ice cream
I
on.
mean, all of it's kind of melted together, which I'm not upset about. Have you
Okay.
ever salted ice cream, by the way?
Mm-mm.
I have a weird, like, I love salt.
I'm
I'm
a salt
convinced.
fanatic.
Yeah, okay. So you should try this, especially savory ice cream, like a crack of salt.
Or you put
It's
like
not
just
that
black
abnormal.
salt on top?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
It's not that weird if you think about like salted caramel or
Mm-hmm.
caramel, whatever. Um, but anyway, now this is just like I'm dipping this one in that one. So let's get on with it.
So insurance sales, it's funny, we're like kind of stream into it. That sounds brutal. I'm gonna be honest. There's some sales that just sound brutal and I don't know anything about them.
Totally.
Insurance sales is one of those. Um,
Yeah.
I
What do you
wanted
think
like
is brutal about it? Because my head goes in a couple different directions, or at least when I was in college deciding to sell insurance.
okay, so first off, you're asking me what it sounds brutal about it.
Yeah.
So my brain goes into like nerd mode, which is like insurance is a commoditized market and you're selling like there's not much differentiation, right? Like it's just like it seems like to me.
Yeah.
You're selling a commoditized product. So which means it's just like brute force, like outbound, heavy dialing, so yeah. And then second, there's like certain jobs that like seem like office space type jobs, like you like punch the clock, you like show up, like clock in, like your boss like looks over your shoulder. Insurance sales just seems like one of those, like from a
Yeah.
movie, like stereotypical, like I don't want to be like him when I'm
It
older.
is The Office. Like you have your Michael Scott, your
Yeah,
Dwight. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so tell us. I think like my first question is like I'd imagine is a pretty my background's medical device. Cutthroat. Insurance, probably cutthroat, I would guess. But tell me, like, what skills did you pick up that you use today at Success?
Oh, lots of them. So it was a very calculated decision on my side, on my part.
Mhm.
Uh, I was interested to hear what sounds awful about it because one of the things that my gut reaction way back when was that I do not want a job where I'm having to like hound people I know for business. And I don't care if this makes me sound like the worst salesperson on the planet, but like I don't want to sell insurance to my next door neighbor or to my best friend or whatever. I just don't want to mix those things, my like business and work versus, and personal relationships. Um, so, but there are so many different types of insurance. Um, and that when I went to like explore this, which it was a career, had a booth at a career fair where I went to school. Fight on Trojans, USC. Yeah, so I started to listen because the earning potential was like pretty incredible. And the experience was ridiculous. Like it was such good experience. This company in particular is called Unum. I wasn't selling to individuals, but rather through brokers. So my job was to go out in the field. So I was like in no other field sales role do you just get a territory and you get to go out in the field. Like you're usually a BDR first and you're pounding the phones first and all that. Like I did a lot of that, but I got to be out in the field gaining like pretty incredible experience out of the gates. So I sold to brokers. I built relationships with insurance brokers that then had companies as their clients. And so I sold employee benefits. And yeah, there were some really ridiculous parts about it, which I'll get into. But the best things about it was that this company put us through the ringer, like such an incredible sales training program. They sent us back to Chattanooga, Tennessee at one point, and then back to Portland, Maine, for like on-site trainings. And we were with a big cohort of like kids the same age, presentation courses, challenging courses, discovery courses, like everything. And so it was this awesome crash course into like how to be in sales. And then it was like it instilled such discipline because we all then went back to our offices. I was one of 3 trainees, and it was basically a fight for who got the first territory. And so everyone was in the office at 7. We didn't leave till 6. Like they're incredible. They offered 24 like days off, which in the insurance world, that's pretty great, a year. And I didn't take a single one of them. No one did. Like it was a competition. It's like who's working the hardest, who was working the most efficient, who was driving the most results. Like, and I got my territory first. And then it was just like, okay, go build your book of business. I had total autonomy. Like I was out and about in the field, meeting with people, taking them to lunch, going golfing. Like it was a really fun day to day. I met some like incredible people. Still have relationships with them today. Like it was great. The shitty part about it was that the actual product I was selling, there are a lot of differences. So like from an employee benefit standpoint, you're talking about like how are you impacting a company's bottom line, and like whether or not you pay claims regularly, and like your customer service that matters when you're selling to companies of thousands of people. So like there were some interesting deals that I worked on for sure for some like large companies. um so there were, but at the same time I had to sell things like, have you heard of Aflac?
Yeah.
Like commercials. Oh my God, we had to sell stuff like that, and I literally, why I quit and was like, I gotta do something else. I was having to like present to companies, like hundreds of employees, like get up and present at their benefits meetings, which no one wanted to be at anyway, and talk about like why do you need cancer insurance? Like, what if you get cancer? That's really expensive. Let's twist that knife so that you buy some. Like, talk
Right,
about how
right, right.
expensive it is and a personal story. Like, just brutal. Long-term care.
Jerry. Jerry
Yeah, like
got cancer.
yes, it's like
Oh,
long-term care insurance. Like if you can't go to the, let's say you have a horrible accident and you can't go to the bathroom by yourself. Do you want to saddle your family up to take care of you when it costs thousands of dollars a month? No. Buy long-term care insurance. Like that's where it crossed the line for me. Where I was like, this isn't what
it
I want to
started
be.
getting icky.
Yeah. I was like, this sucks. So, this is a long-winded answer to your question, but yeah, it was like so good at developing my work ethic, my ability to like literally just like sit and thrive in discomfort, um, putting up with skin flute jokes because I had to take the same 60-year-old men golfing all the time. Um, it taught me how to use the company credit card to go
Yeah.
entertain people. No, I'm kidding, but
Yeah.
there were so many like massively positive things that I gained from being an
And the
insurance.
the closing experience, right? Like you
Oh
said,
yeah.
most people, because I have a not insurance, but similar. I went into medical device sales, and it was here's your bag, here's your quota. We'll check in halfway through the quarter. Go, and yes, we did like similar to you. We had a training program, but you get closing experience at 22 years old,
Yeah, it's pretty
right?
incredible. And
Yeah.
like forecasting experience. And like what was also interesting and a stark difference from software and B2B tech sales was they wanted us to hone in on our relationship building sales or skills, which for me came like very naturally. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I love this type of stuff and yada yada. And then I transitioned to a company called Responsis,
Hmm.
where I was able to parlay my experience in insurance for 5 years or so into an AE closing role at this company called Responsis that later then got acquired by Oracle. And all of a sudden, like the first thing I have to do out of the gates is read the challenger sale, which I don't know if you have experience with the challenger sale, but it's basically says the relationship builder is the worst kind of seller you could possibly be. And I was like, what did I do? What did I do? I made a
Sweet.
huge mistake. But it was really cool because it forced me to hone in on other skills, like coming with a perspective and being really well researched and like having such a bulletproof business case going into every single phone call that plus what comes more naturally. If I was, it forced me to over rotate on the stuff that I think makes people really strong sellers in the tech space. And kind of, I think we're always going to be better regardless of whether we're talking personal work, whatever. If you over rotate on improving things that don't come as naturally to you, then like overall, I think you just end up in a better spot.
Your median increases. Okay, that's interesting. I want quick answer, just in so we can move on to some other fun ones. Would you recommend all sales reps that you hire at Sixth Sense to have some experience, not necessarily insurance, but in that like super high
Um,
pressure?
no, because I do think that like the same skills are developed when you go from a BDR, like you go start as a BDR at a software company.
Sure.
Like Oracle, Salesforce, like even some of these startups, like Sixth Sense, all have like really well built out training programs that I think it's just a matter of having experience that forces you to like really show up day after day after day, be told no a million times, like keep your head up, pound the phones, pound the pavement, like get creative. All of that I think is important. And I think that what is like kind of lost these days is just like the discipline and the work ethic. Um, I've got people that are like, oh, I can't do a call at that time with that prospect because that's when I go to the gym. And it's like, hey, by all means, I'm all about setting boundaries, but those boundaries need to coexist with what's going to make you successful at your job. So, um, yeah, anyway,
Yeah,
so I,
no, the classic millennial, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, all right, preparation. You wouldn't, I'd imagine you wouldn't get to where you are in your career if you weren't, and we talk about, like you said, being well researched. I want to talk about your like annual preparation, your like yearly preparation, personal, professional, doesn't matter. How do you set up, we just had January, your year as a human being? What do you do? What does that routine look like?
Yeah, I'm big on like calendar control, at the very highest level. So like what I did, just as we were turning in, December was wrapping up, was I mapped out our entire year as a family and put in everything from school holidays to days that we have off to trips that we've got booked or whatever. And then I put my aspiration list on the side. And I will be totally honest, part of this is because I was super sad, like ending the holidays, going back to work in sales every year you start at zero. So that's incredibly depressing. And so it was part of that exercise for me is around like let's get into planning mode and have some like amazing things to look forward to. So off the heels of that, I kind of mapped out with my husband. We sit down, we look at it, and we're like, all right, this month is pretty open. Like, what are we going to pack in there to go look forward to? Like, let's go to Hawaii or let's do this or that. And then what ends up happening is everything I've mapped out is very expensive. So that lights a fire, right? So then I back into like, okay, if
The
I want to make
mission.
an amount, yeah. If I want to be able to support, um, I'm horrible. I don't prioritize like having a balance sheet for my life and stuff like that. I just generally try to live as frugally and responsibly as I can and try to make as much money as I can. Um, but it's really for me just about like, okay, from a career standpoint, what are my aspirations? Last year it was very different from this year. Like this year I'm in a new role since November. So it's really about like hunkering down and mapping out what I need to do each quarter to get to where I want to be. And of course, there are like, if you're familiar with OKRs, there are different elements of what I need to do to achieve those things. So whether that's people related and people I need to develop or hire or manage out or whatever it might be. So I kind of map out all of that. And then, comparing that to like last year, it was really around like I wanted to change. I'd been in my role for 4 years, so I needed to do something different. And so I mapped out, well, how many, what interviews am I going to do, whether that's internal or external, and what can I do to set myself up to have as much um, control or as many options as I want to, or as I need to make an informed decision. And so it changes all the time. I'd say like professionally for sure. Um, and then there's a lot of just flying by the seat of my pants because I have an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old, and it is just chaos. We also just wrapped up a 13-month-long renovation on our house. So that like put everything on hold. It was just an act of God of like keeping all the plates spinning while, doing my normal job and also managing the project and all that. And so I think that my husband and I, we've done that to ourselves twice. And so I don't know, we always find stuff that puts all planning aside and it's just a matter of like surviving. We
Well,
tend to like land like be in a good spot on the other side of it.
I like the I like the filling in the months like Hawaii or probably I'm sure a part of it
Oh,
was
I frustrate
13.
the hell out of my husband though. He's like, "Can we just have a free month? How about that?" I'm like,
No.
"But no. If it's free,
What
what are we
sleep when
gonna
you're
do?"
dead. Yeah, what would you do? But I mean, like even the
Yeah.
13 month, it sounds like you do take you back into what do I need to do? Like, what kind of money do I need to make to support a 13-month renovation? Long Beach ain't cheap. We know probably
Yeah.
know that, and so how much do I need to make? What how many deals do I need to close to make that? Can I make that my current role? Do I need to go to another role? Is that
Yeah.
extra? So it's interesting how you use your life and your aspiration, your life to back into what the year needs to look like.
And yeah, totally. I do love what I do, but I'm still working because I want to provide for my family. Like if you told me I could have all the money in the world and retire tomorrow, like I'd totally take that. I'd probably end up working still, but like, it just is a different kind of a different ballgame. So I like to work backwards from that standpoint. And yeah, at the same time, I don't love everything. I know I sound like a crazy OCD freak, but like I don't love for everything to be planned. Because there's certain things that you need to leave room for error. I'm relatively chill when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But last thing is from a career standpoint, I've been good recently about thinking about end goals, like what's the end game and how do I get there? That's a part of why I joined Stage 2 Capital. It's why I'm so excited to be on Reach Suite's advisory board. So there are a lot of things that are bigger picture that I try to back into and figure out like what does that path look like as well.
It's hard to have an 18-month to 4-year-old future, current, all that. So you're bouncing a lot. All right, I'll fast forward. What would you rather talk about as our closing topic? Wildest prospecting technique, fattest deal you ever closed, or how much of success is luck, hard work, or both? One of those three.
So the last,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a Guy Raz question. I love Guy Raz, but every interview he does, no matter who it's with, he asks the same question. If you look back on your career and the success you've had, how much of it is luck? How much of it is hard work? What do you think?
I wouldn't have had any of the successes that I've had without both. I work really hard, like for sure. I've always have. I just have a high motor, but I am not blind to the fact that I'm incredibly I've been really lucky. I'm lucky back to like having parents that support me and put me through school and like, back to having a wonderful childhood. Like there's so many different things that I consider myself to lucky for back from childhood. And so I think a culmination of all of that is why I've developed a strong work ethic. And um, I think luck is, you've heard it before. What is it? Success is preparedness. No, luck is preparedness meets hard work. What is it?
Opportunity.
Opportunity
Yeah.
meets preparedness.
That's
I can't,
Oprah, right?
I can't use quotes if I don't even know them.
Yes, you
Um,
can. You make them up on the fly.
we're going with it. Luck is preparedness meets opportunity. And it's so true.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, if you're not in a position to take advantage of things that come your way, then you won't succeed. And in the other way around too, you've got to be working really hard. And I believe in sales karma and all sorts of other karma. And when you're putting the work in, the results will come as well.
Well, Katie,
Find
you
him.
survived. You survived the Cold Ones podcast. No brain
Yay!
freezes. I'm excited to
Not
get a
yet.
brain freeze on this thing. Thank you for taking the time. We are
Thank
grateful
you.
to have you here. As a closing thought, it's all on you. You tell the camera, you tell the audience what's going on in Katie Nocerino's life. What should we be prepared for in the next year?
Oh boy. Well, this was super fun. I think I'm just excited to be here. Now that we finished our house, we're doing the backyard. So you probably won't see a lot of me because I'm going to be hanging out by the pool out back.
There we go.
Um, at this point, it's all about the little ones I'm bringing up to hopefully take over the world. We'll see. Won't be the next year though.
Thank you, Katie. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Super fun.